Good morning. Expecting sunrise. Really, the statements in Matthew chapter 10, do they make your hair stand on your head? What's going on? The expressions are very, very strong. And just on another note here, there was a very big animal in here in the water, a fish, creating quite, not as much as a jet ski like they are over there. Look at that surf, the jet skis are throwing up. But there was a big guy down here. Just about 3 minutes ago, I thought he would still be active while I got the thing started, but he hasn't stirred since then. It was like 3 or 4 big movements, kicked around a lot of water. He was probably at the very surface, but I didn't see him exactly. I could just see the movements in the water. So people, are you able for Matthew chapter 10? I actually went over the whole chapter this morning when that was hitting me. If somebody's out of context, it just sounds crazy. Absolutely sounds crazy. Let me show you why. Just hang in there. Very good. So let's go to this crazy text. And what I'm looking for today is a memory of an incredible disciple. Randall. Hey Randall. Boker Tov. Mashlomcha. Tarot, do you want to be on our Wi-Fi? On my live stream?
Sure.
So it's already started.
Good.
Okay, just hold on there. Well, maybe we go this way here because it's nicer with the light on your face.
Sure.
This is Randall Ford,
Right.
tour guide here. Hold on there. We got you in the picture here. Yeah, there you are. Randall is a guide. He's here with a group from where?
They're from Connecticut.
From Connecticut. What do you say about people coming here in the whole? And do you have any little bit of wisdom here? We're talking around the world here. Your experience as a tour guide, your experience of people's, what it does for people to come here, whatever.
I think it's wonderful. The Bible is
Just a little louder, Randall.
The Bible has been called the land of Israel is called the fifth gospel, and for good reason. Of course, we have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the 4 gospels, but the land itself tells a message. And I like to remind people that the story of the Jewish people returning to their land, which was prophesied in the Bible, in the Hebrew Scriptures and the Old Testament, is really a proof of Scripture. How do I know the Bible's true? Because these things were predicted in advance, and now they've happened. Jewish people returned after the Holocaust from more than 120 different countries. And we that are followers of Jesus believe that this will ultimately culminate in the Jewish people returning to their Messiah, to full knowledge and understanding of their Messiah, also predicted by the prophets.
So, Randall, you took me by surprise. I didn't know you were going to plow so deep this morning. So, good. Well, that's a mouthful, so that's a lot for a lot of people to digest, maybe difficult for some people. And thank you very much for sharing what's in your heart.
Thank you. Thank you, Friar Kelly.
God bless you.
Take care.
That was more than I anticipated. Because normally you get some very nice, polite comments and also educated comments, but there was a lot there in that mouthful. And a lot of challenges for different kinds of people. So what are you going to do? What are you going to say? A number of Israeli guides are messianic. and you don't always know who is messianic, or worse still, my memory doesn't always retain the ones I learned who were messianic, but that's life. So it's funny that he brought up a thing about proving scripture, and I was going to ask a similar question about Matthew chapter 10. Like, it should be very troubling for people who are out of context. It could probably be the stumbling block that could say to them, well, I don't want anything to know anything about this Jesus guy. This is just too much. So let me go to the text here. And it says here, whoever loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. Whoever does not take up his cross and follow after me is not worthy of me. So, I can't say that to you. But Matthew chapter 10 is telling us that Jesus said this to he didn't say it to all his disciples, okay? In general, like a big broad brush. He said this to his missionary disciples, for starters. There's that context. The ones who were, he was sending out. And in fact, Matthew chapter 10 says it's for the 12. And gives their concrete names. And so Matthew chapter 10 is like an instruction manual or an intensive course, 101 Apostle of Jesus, 101 course, the very first course, the very first basic instruction for the apostles. And we know that their type of mission and commitment then multiplied, because then there were 120 sent out, and it just kept growing from there. And now there are millions, there are literally millions of people that are out there in this path. So I'd like to tie all of this together also with the first reading and to put it in context. Context is a major, major part of understanding Scripture. If we don't have context, we can misunderstand an awful lot of things. We really can. And that's one of the biggest issues, because you have many people commenting on the Scriptures and many great or many at least aspired attempts at reformation of Christianity. And the problem is that sometimes some of the principles are taken out of context and therefore lose the harmony and balance they should have within the whole framework of our faith. And that has also led to major, major divisions, because if you take out one phrase out of context and you emphasize it in a particular understanding right now without knowing even the linguistic context, then you're very prone to set yourself up counter to other principles, and how to bring it all together in unity in the whole context. And I think that's very important when we're talking now about who is Jesus, because that's what this reading is also about. I mean, those three statements, that person is not worthy of me. Like, look at this was a tomato here that's been pretty well demolished, whereas the other three look very promising. And these ones are not ready yet, so they're not ripe for me, and they're all tomatoes. They're just growing here wild. Somebody probably threw a bit of a sandwich there or whatever. I'm not sure how they got to be there, but that's life. So to have the whole context, and in a certain sense the whole context of chapter 10 is the context of people who were with Jesus for a substantial amount of time, not just the ones that heard him one Shabbat in their synagogue and maybe even had a miracle. They're the ones that are with Jesus constantly. They're traveling with him. They've left everything to follow him. And he's making these big statements to them. And they're also in a backdrop of the prophets and the whole of Scripture, the whole of Revelation. And who is the person of Jesus? Who can say that to somebody? You're not worthy of me unless you love me more than your father and your mother. I mean, it's very nice to have good company, even Queen Elizabeth or Pope Francis or some celebrity or some sports person in your home, but they would never ask you to love them more than your father or your mother. So then we seem to be going a layer earlier to father and mother, just with that kind of expression. And then the amazing thing to go so far as to say, the one who is not ready to lay down their life for me is not worthy of me. And the absolutely impressive thing is that this worthiness of Jesus, to be worthy of Jesus, has been lived by millions, literally millions, of martyrs, people who have, and that's not an exaggerated number. We're going to be, when we get to heaven, we're going to see how many people, because we know about famous martyrs that have been recorded, but we have no clue about the people who died for their faith, who suffered horrendously because of their faith, and only they're known to God. When we get to heaven, we're going to see these people. We're just going to be absolutely astonished. We're almost going to say, I'm not worthy to be here with you guys. This is what happened in your lives, how you responded to Christ, how grace triumphed in your lives, how you let grace triumph in your lives, the red blood of the martyrs. This is absolutely, more than Olympic performance, people. This is like the Olympics of the soul. And that's done by grace. It's not done by Tarzan muscle. And it's not done by a lot of formalities on the outside, because actually, that's what Isaiah is criticizing with vehemence, with incredible convincing arguments and observations about trampling God's courts. I don't want you trampling my courts anymore with your prayers and your sacrifices. And so the authentic relationship with God is not satisfied by external observances. It's a total consecration of the heart. This is what it's about, a total consecration of the heart. What an extraordinary, complete dedication. It's kind of hard to find the right words to express the fullness of this relationship. And this is what we're all about, people. This is what we're all about. When we see this, it gets us moving. It gets us excited. It gets us wanting. You see all the little kids when there's or let's probably right now, many of you might have friends who play tennis. And I haven't seen a single game, but one of our priests, our wonderful 82-year-old Father Salvador, he loves following the Wimbledon Championship. And he reports that at mealtime all the different progress in the championship. And I imagine there are lots and lots of kids watching that, and they're taking out their tennis bat. Maybe they'll put it back after a week or two, and they're ready, they're racketed, and they're out there beating a ball against a wall, or inviting a friend to go, or at least they're dreaming about it. I remember when County Galway won 3 All-Ireland finals in a row back in the mid to late 60s. I became fanatic for football, and I needed to get a football. And so that was my dream, to be carrying that Sam Maguire Cup around Croke Park, the captain of a winning team of the All-Ireland final, So when we see these martyrs and these people who have lived this kind of consecration, it gets us moving. It shakes us up, and it clarifies for us the meaning of life, the value of life. The question then is to grow in that friendship and to enter into that relationship with Jesus. My kingdom is not of this world. And we get so worried and anxious about our worldly kingdoms. And so that's one of the wonderful ways of testing our understanding, is how much we are worldly, or how much we're there for service, for self-giving, for others. If we're centered on our own little problems and some little offense somebody did to me, even if it was a big offense, but at the end of the day, it's really small. It's really, really tiny, and especially in view of all the suffering other people have. To the upright, I will show the saving power of God. That's our psalm. That's my prayer for you. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's been great. A beautiful morning again. The water flowing here into the Sea of Galilee. Come on, camera, and do our little switch. There we go. See you later, alligators. God bless you.